taking notes from nobody.
Your superstars have off games.
Follow us on social media at Celtics Talk Weekly.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Justin Lowe. That's Franco, and the Boston Celtics fall to the New York Knicks 97-89 in the fourth Summer League game. This is Celtics Postgame Live. Franco, how are we doing? We did miss the Lakers game, so we will talk a little bit about that because we did see some strong performances in this first Celtics win. But for now, how are we doing? How are we feeling? Celtics drop this one to the Knicks.
It's way too copy and paste with this team when it comes to the Summer League team. These games have felt way too much the same intensity levels throughout. Right. It's like going on a roller coaster 4 times in the same week.
Right.
You know when the turns are. You know when the loop is. This team isn't bringing the fire right off the bat, and it's really killing them when it gets down to these final 10 minutes when they finally decide to put this push together.
Yeah, I think it's, okay, I get it. It's Summer League. I get that most of these guys won't even be on the roster, but at the same time, it's a little frustrating because it seems as if every time the Celtics cut it to within 5, New York would push it back out. And how would New York push it back out, Franco? With the Celtics turning the ball over. The Celtics killed themselves tonight. 19 turnovers. That's not a typo on the graphic. 19 turnovers led to a largest lead of 23 points tonight for the New York.
And there wasn't a star player to point the finger at that category. In that category of turnovers, they spread the ball very equally with the New York Knicks across the board. I'm looking down the list. 2 turnovers from Oleg, 2 turnovers from Jordan, 3 from Champagny, 4 from JD, 4 from Banton. So everyone on your starting lineup, including your 6-man Jay Scrubb, had up to 2 turnovers this game. And Udoka. It's just simple things. It was hustle. It was very correctable stuff that this team showed. It was just very inconsistent basketball because one minute you would be seeing the stupidest turnover you've seen from JD, and then next moment you're looking at the team and they're passing the ball around like the Warriors.
Right. I mean, I think, again, making this comeback, the Celtics had a very strong third quarter, by the way. Now, this team has responded very well out of the gates at the half. This was now, you mentioned how we kind of feel the trials and tribulations of this team. It's been very consistently inconsistent with this team, right? Like, we know when the Celtics are going to get their momentum. We know when the other team's going to get the momentum. The script has kind of been leaked if you haven't kind of watched these past 4 games. But going into that third quarter, Celtics down 19. They were able to cut it down to 9. They won the third quarter by 10, 28-18. What did you like in that third quarter that the Celtics were able to claw their way back into the game?
Players just started to make their plays that they were looking for. It looks like a relief of frustration comes off of them at halftime, which comes with adjustments, and it shows how young this team is and how much more they need to develop because those adjustments shouldn't be necessary to lead to success at halftime. The game doesn't start at halftime; it starts at tip-off. And
now, go ahead.
No, there was nothing else. You can
go. There was nothing else. Does this now? Okay, I get it. We're gonna sit here and we're gonna have these fans kind of say, "Why are you harping on these guys? It's Summer League." But at the same time, there's some open roster spots on the roster for the Celtics come October, come November, a couple of 2-way spots, as well as a couple of regular roster spots. So, like, looking at these guys have something to play for. So when you see players like J.D. Davison, like Justin Champagny, who have been on the Celtics roster the past year, struggle the way they've been struggling, does that kind of where do you look at that and you kind of go, like, that's a head scratcher almost? Like, these guys are the vets of the summer league in a way. I'm not saying those guys can't make mistakes and those guys can't learn as well, but at the same time, we expected that these guys have a lot better summer league than we've seen these past 4 games.
Definitely. And Davidson has more of a learning curve, I would say, because he's still developing in the system, and it's very important for these players to get this summer league minutes and fail now in the summer league.
Right, correct.
What it seems like is JD is trying to fill into a role that he is not ready for, being a starting point guard, and they are trying to groom him into that starting point guard now that Marcus Smart is gone over time, because that's who they have right now. Other than Pritchard, for the future, that's their guy they have to bank on to be there in the next 3 years or so. So the fact that he's making these mistakes right now is a little bit concerning, but not too much, because I know once he gets up into Maine, he's going to have those 25-point games, or if he's on the roster, he's going to play well in those 5 minutes off the bench in the fourth quarter for the team.
All right, let's get into our 3 key players of the game. It feels like we keep rotating through the same, or at least a very similar 3 players, but at the same time, we see consistency from these players. One of these players is the most consistent player I think I've seen in recent summer league history for the Celtics. It's Jay Scrubb. Now, Jay Scrubb coming in, we've talked about him before. He's been able to produce a solid, I would say, on average, between 15 and 18 points per game these last 4 games for the Celtics. And remember, he's playing that 6-man role. He's coming off the bench. He's not playing these starting minutes. He played 24 minutes tonight, 16 points, 16 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal on a very efficient 5 of 11 shooting. Now, if you notice something throughout this summer league, is with Jay Scrubb, he shoots between 10 and 12 shots a game. It's like and he hits them at a very efficient clip. 5 of 10, 6 of 11, 7 of 12. Like, those are all very efficient clips that he's shooting. He's able to get to the basket. He can shoot the ball. He can play that mid-range game. We talk about him every post-game show. But, again, we have to talk about him. I feel like it'd be criminal. Franco, if he did not have at least a 2-way contract with the Boston Celtics come November.
Oh, definitely. He's playing that spark plug role that we knew he was going to be doing in the preview show. He is a scorer. He came from 2 years in the G League, averaging above 20 points a game. He is a spark plug waiting to happen for a rotation. He is going to... The only argument he has is his all-around...
Uh-oh. We're losing Franco here. Is it on my end?
Then
we're losing you, Franco.
I'm not sure. I think I'm...
All right, you're back. You might be back. We lost Franco. We lost Franco. Yeah, he's only got 3 bars on his thing. All right. While he gets situated with his Wi-Fi, I'll talk more about Jay Scrubb. I really like this kid, Jay Scrubb. I think he's fantastic. I think he's phenomenal. I really like the intensity that he is able to play with. He can get up the floor very quick. He is so fast in the transition, and he's extremely quick and explosive. He plays that transition game very well. There are many times, not only this game, but throughout the summer league, where I've seen him get a rebound on one end of the court and boom, he's off and he gets the layup at the other end of the court. I also think he's wicked aggressive. Like, he's able to use his body and he's able to kind of have control. He's not like wild when he drives into the basket. He's able to draw contact, finish through the contact, and get the foul call. I think that's all extremely, extremely important. And I think that screams phenomenal role player material. Also kind of something that we hope to get with O'Shea Brissett as we welcome Franco back in. I was just kind of mentioning, Franco, how Scrubb is just, he gives off this incredible amount of energy, and I feel like he just screams like perfect role player in terms of like he doesn't have to come in and get you 20, but if he can consistently give you something along the lines of, 8 points, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, and a few assists, like that's absolutely huge for a roster like the Celtics. And with Scrub, I think what makes him so valuable is that he's able to get a rebound on one end, shoot down the court with the ball, and use his body and use his control and get to the basket and draw the foul. He is phenomenal at finishing through contact. How many M1s have we seen this week in Vegas with Jay Scrub? I think that's really important. And again, before your your connection was cut out, I was just mentioning to you, it'd be criminal if the Celtics did not kind of bring him on next year.
Definitely. He will be a big key role. He's one of those players that you will see in like game 60 of the season when, let's say, Brogdon and White are dealing with a lingering injury or something after the break, and you need someone to come in and take those minutes. He's one of those players that's going to be like, who the hell? Brian Scalabrini's going to be yelling, who the hell is this guy? Because he just came off the bench in 15 minutes and dropped 20 in one of his first appearances in the league. Spark plug player. He comes in off the bench. He is going to put points on the board for you.
Another guy who's likely to come off our bench. This guy's actually guaranteed to come off our bench in the regular season. We just signed Delano Banton, a free agent out of Toronto, to a two-way deal, or a 2-year deal rather. So he will be on the roster next year for the Celtics. He made his debut on what's today? Friday. He made his debut on Wednesday night against the Lakers. He shot 3 of 19 from the floor. He struggled. My opinion, I think he had a little jitterbug. I think he was just kind of shooting to shoot, getting his reps in. But tonight, way more efficient. 18 points, 9 rebounds, a block on 7 of 12 shooting. I feel like tonight he was just able to – I think he was just not forcing it. I think game 1 on Wednesday for him coming off an injury, trying to get a feel for his game, feel for the team. I think he was just kind of maybe doing a little bit too much tonight. That wasn't the case. What did you like from Banton tonight?
His versatility was just off the charts tonight. He was playing 1 through 4. We saw him on the defensive side playing at the top of the key, meeting the guard at the half-court line as he dribbled over. And we also saw him defending down low in the post. That is exactly what you need to make this roster. We need players that can play 1 through 4, guard 1 through 4, and not just be a one-trick pony. He's going to bring that versatility. And what I loved about him is a play that is going to fit extremely well with the players that are already on this roster is that triple threat. He catches the ball at the top of the key, and he sets up, and he's able to drive into the paint very easily with no problems.
He's another one where he has very good body control around the rim, especially for his size, right? Like I think also I just feel like game 1, his game 1, our game 3 against the Lakers, I feel like he was just kind of going in there and he was just kind of chucking up shots. Like I said, getting a feel for the game. Tonight, I think he showed more poise, and I think he showed more of that kind of I'm on the roster type feel. If you know what I mean, like with like kind of like maybe what we expected JD and Justin Champagnie to come in here like. I think that's how Banton came into this game, and he had his fingerprints all over it. 18, 9, 1 on 7 of 12 shooting. He could shoot the 3 ball as well. He hit a couple of threes tonight. Another guy who's almost guaranteed to be in our rotation, probably, honestly, might beat a couple of guys in the rotation already, is rookie Jordan Walsh. And if you look down at the graphic, check it out. He had his first NBA rookie shoot in his full Celtic uniform, so we were able to get a headshot of him in his Celtics jersey. I think that looks so clean, so awesome. But Walsh had I think he started off strong. I wouldn't say he had a horrible game. I would definitely say this might have been his, I hate to use this word because it sounds so harsh, but his worst game tonight in terms of numbers. And maybe productivity, but again, 13 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, did a little bit of everything. Again, not his strongest game, but he's coming off of his strongest game. We'll talk about in a minute Wednesday night against the Lakers. 2 of 5 from 3, which is fairly efficient for a guy who shot 27% in college. But again, something I'll bring it up. I'll bring it up again. I might sound like a broken record. We posted a post about this on our Instagram a few days ago. I just absolutely love Jordan Walsh's intensity and his confidence. His confidence in his shot and his intensity on the defensive end, letting his defense dictate his offense. He's able to get in transition. I mean, we really are making it sound like this guy's a lottery pick. This guy's a 38th pick in the NBA draft, Franco.
Yes, and what he was doing for us was during that final stretch when we made it seem like we were going to make it a close game, those free throws, when he got to the line 2 possessions in a row and knocked those down and got back on defense and helped force 3 turnovers in a row. And that's the type of things that we need. Him, Banton, and Scrub are going to be absolutely key players for us. And what was the group called with Cornette, Pritchard, the Bus One boys?
Yeah.
The revamped Bus One boys are going to be a lot younger, and they are going to bring a lot more athleticism and a lot more intensity.
Do you think that these players, and honestly, he's not here in the summer league, but we can mention O'Shea Brissett. Celtics signed him out of Indiana, a very versatile forward. He could play the 2, he could play the 3. Some even could say he can slot him at the 4 or the 5 if you really want to go small. What's that going to be like, that little preview of a bench of Jordan Walsh, Banton, and Brissett? Many people might write this kind of rotation off, but at the same time, you mentioned with the versatility, you mentioned the athleticism, and you mentioned just the ability of each of them to play multiple positions on the court.
You can run a all 5 wing lineup and be successful with this roster with Brissett, if you can include the Jays, and then Banton and Walsh and Brissett, and oh my goodness, the list goes on. It's getting to a point where there's so much depth that it's going to be a real competition for those minutes behind Brown and Tatum. And it's going to be a mix of 4 to 5 different players coming in from that 2 to 4 spot in games. And it's going to depend on who's got the hot hand and who's playing more consistently. One of them is going to have to step up and be the hero when it comes to preseason.
Jordan Walsh, going to stay on him because he had an unbelievable Wednesday night against the Los Angeles Lakers. He finished with 25 points. I think when we'll go back and we talk about that game, and we mentioned earlier on in this post-game live episode, we mentioned the third quarters and how crucial that's kind of been throughout the summer league, especially these last 2 games for the Celtics. Third quarter, the Celtics absolutely blew the door open. They were down by 15 at one point to the Lakers. Lakers, might I add, one of the, maybe all around, one of the, if not the best summer league roster we've seen in Vegas. Definitely one of the most entertaining. 25, 8 on 10 of 20 shooting from Jordan Walsh. You mentioned his poise down the stretch tonight, hitting free throws, hitting clutch, timely free throws, and on top of that, getting stops. I kind of want to maybe one-up you and talk about his intensity in that third quarter when the Celtics were making a run Wednesday night. He was slapping the floor. He was screaming, kind of,
feeling himself, yeah.
Like, that's rare. That's a rare breed. And I understand we don't have a Marcus Smart or a Grant Williams anymore.
We have a Jordan Walsh now.
We have a Jordan Walsh now. And this is a rookie. And this is a 38th overall pick. And this is a guy saying, I'm here and I'm here to stay. How much confidence, not only as somebody who covers the Celtics, but somebody who's a big fan of the Celtics, how much confidence and how much excitement does that bring you that you see Walsh is so emotional about the game and winning?
We're bringing back he's only 19 this year.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we really are.
That's going to be very exciting to scream again with Jordan Walsh, and he's showing the same lights of not. Oh, I don't want to gas him up too much, but the type of plays he was making are Tatum-like ball movement and the mid-range game, the off the dribble shots with a hand in his face. That's not something you're seeing out of a 19-year-old in this league, especially now in summer league when he's just getting his foot in the door and he's one of the more underrated players coming in,
Right.
especially as the 39th pick. He's probably going to be going into the season as a heavy favorite for Rookie of the Year, or if he gets the minutes, he could possibly get a Rookie of the Year consideration, depending on how they work the rotation.
I think it's very important to kind of, when we talk about this summer league team, I think that the record is fairly weak, and I don't want to sit here and act like you and I can do better on the court. I don't, but just kind of what we're accustomed to these past few games. In the summer league, the Celtics have been one of the most dominant teams as of late over the last few years, and their point differential over the last few years has been in the double digits. Right now, they're a -3, and I would go on to say now that they lost by 8, they're a -11. So when you look at this, is that kind of I know you don't look for wins in summer league, you look for player progression. But there hasn't been much player progression out of guys like JD and Justin Champagnie. And I know I mentioned it earlier, and again, I know they're going to get the reps in Maine, but does that, if you're Brad, are you kind of looking outside of the Celtic Summer League team? Because, I mean, everybody's a free agent technically. Nobody's under contract for these 30 teams in Summer League. Are you looking around the league and seeing kind of what's out there if you want to go in that direction?
You have to. I mean, your front seven right now, you have your locked in players right now, but you've lost a lot of depth. The things that people don't really talk about. Yes, we lost Grant. Yes, we lost Smart. I'm gonna sound silly saying this, but the losses of like the Muscalas, the Gallinaris, even though we didn't see them last year, the depth pieces that we lost, we haven't re-signed them yet. The Blakes, the players that come off the bench are very limited right now on this roster, and we have a general idea of what they're going in with, but they can still add in almost every position, but it's only a matter of it's going to be calculated or not. You can't make any moves that are unnecessary, and there's really no more luxury type players that we can add to this roster.
Are we going to sit here tomorrow night and talk about a Celtics win or what? The Orlando listen, this is the most Celtics thing ever. First of all, Orlando Magic. Celtics can't beat the Magic for anything. Doesn't matter, regular season, summer league. Second of all, no Anthony Black tomorrow. Jet Howard is not going to play, I believe. So everybody, all the Magic aces aren't going to play. If you're Boston, how do you approach this game where, yes, again, winning doesn't really matter, player progression matters, but you see a lot of guys sitting out for the whole load management, last day of camp type deal. We going to see guys like JD? Are we going to see guys like Jordan and Justin tomorrow? What are we thinking about tomorrow night's game?
I think they're going to finally roll out more than a 9-man rotation.
Yeah, finally.
Because that's been a serious issue. One player that we saw tonight that we haven't seen yet this season, Kamar Baldwin, came off the bench for us. He came in and only gave us 2 points, but he was a very active person on the defensive side. He was a noticeable player, especially how short he was. He made the most of his minutes, and he got 3 steals, I'm just noticing.
Yeah. I mean, I think when we sit here and I think we want to end Summer League on a really good note, I think we want to go out there and we want to get a win. And if I'm I guess Brad Stevens, I'm going to be looking out for some specific players. I'm going to be looking out for Jay Scrubb. Can Jay Scrubb just finish this summer league on an almost perfect note? And when I mean perfect, the consistently consistent. What does Boston lack? They've lacked consistency up and down the roster. Each player has had their amazing nights, and then each player's had their horrible nights. But I think Jay Scrubb has just consistently been consistent, and I think that's important, and I think you want to add that on your team. You're going to also want to see Jordan Walsh. Does Jordan Walsh just kind of, I guess, with Walsh and Stanton and Davison, who all three of them have roster spots, do they just kind of sit back and relax? It's the last day, win or loss, it doesn't matter. Do they sit back, or do they continue to play the game and show that why they are on the roster, show why they have active roster spots come November? You know what I mean? So I think there's definitely importance in this final game. And then also guys like Udoka, guys like Olek, guys like Justin Bean. This is kind of maybe their final chance before they re-enter the G League or go back overseas or whatever.
Or hit free agency.
Correct. This might be their last game, their last chance to prove that they could be in the big league. So I definitely think the chance is there.
We'll definitely see a much more spread out rotation minute-wise, because I feel as if they owe it to the players that they've had sitting on the bench the entire season, and it's kind of nice that they have the consolation game to do something like that, but I definitely want to see a hotter start, and what they should do is I would run your 6 or 7 that you want to invite to training camp during the first half, and then you put in the Sam Greisels, the Michael Molders, the Reggie Kissenals, and you let them get their opportunities to get their minutes and get their film to be able to get their name out.
Right. I think tomorrow the Celtics will show I think they'll show up tomorrow. And like you said, they got to show up early. They have to show up early. This has been the second straight game. I guess you could even make the argument that it's been all 4 games, but especially the second straight game where it's been noticeable, where the Celtics have fell down by double digits in the first half. And then it's almost like, we really got to pick ourselves up. We really got to dig ourselves out of a hole. So I think the third quarter is always going to be important. I think it's also important come regular season. Like, we've seen the Celtics dog it in the third quarters before. They'd be up big at the half, and then they just kind of play loose in the third and let the game get away from them. I'd love to see the Celtics, if anything, be that team to be up at half, and if anything, kind of have that third quarter where they might, maybe they can afford to dog it in the third quarter. But I definitely don't want to see the Celtics play from behind for all 40 minutes.
Oh, no.
Night, especially against an undermanned Orlando Magic team, which I believe they are going to be undermanned.
I would offer to the starting lineup, hey, if you guys put on a show for the first half, you guys can come out in T-shirts for the second.
Right, yeah, right. Do you think the players want to play in that, I guess, consolation game? You think the players like Scrubb and Walsh and Davison, I guess the stars of the team, want to play tomorrow night?
They always do want to play, and will always see it as a chance to prove something to someone. But in the second half of a consolation game, when your series is 1-3, if they are losing, I am running that team onto the court and making sure that we are not walking at that summer league 1-4. Their main goal is to make sure they do not lose that game, because 2-3, semi-acceptable, and you can move forward in life. But management
1-4, life's over.
Management does not want to deal with that, and I want to look up their recent summer league records, because I feel like that might be a true statement, because
I'll tell you what their records were since the Jason Tatum rookie year summer league. So 2017, Celtics are 4-1. 2018, 4-2. 2019, 4-1. 2021, 4-1. There was no summer league in the bubble year 2020. 2022, 3-2, which was last year, and then this year 1-3 right now. So I guess this has been the worst summer league we've seen in nearly a decade. Which, again, the point differentials. I have the point differentials right here. 2017, Celtics were a plus 4.6. 2018 a plus 1.1. 2019 was their best year at 4-1 and 12.8. I believe that the Celtics went to the Summer League Championship that year, or that was either 2021.
Yeah.
But 4-1 with a 10 plus 10.2 differential. 2022 last year 3-2 with a 2.6. This year, I don't know. We're in the negatives this year, hence the 1-3 record.
And this is something that needs to be improved because, yeah, we might sound like those asshole Boston fans who are just trying to find a reason to complain about their team, but
right.
The new CBA and the second tax apron that's coming up, these players are going to mean something in a few years. And one of the main important things, a lot of people look at the Jordan Walsh trade downs as a TPE. We also have to look at it, storing those and developing and having players to look forward to. And yes, they need to take advantage and utilize the talent that they have. 3 players that we would definitely love to see: Madar, Belgeron, Kabengele.
Right.
You need to see your second round talent and what you've drafted and show that they are progressing over the years. Even if we saw Yam Madar 2 or 3 years in a row, if we saw that he's been progressing in other than EuroLeague, we could possibly see him competing with JD and Pritchard for that back point guard spot right now.
Right. And there's going to be a lot of battling tomorrow night. The Celtics play their final summer league game in Las Vegas tomorrow night at the Thomas and Mack Center. 6:30 p.m. tip-off on NBA TV. You can catch it locally on NBC Sports Boston. Celtics Magic tomorrow night. We'll have you covered for Celtics Postgame Live. For tonight, I'm Justin Lowe. That's Franco.